So, tell me something terrible. You ready to podcast?
Are you ready to be well behaved?
Maybe not. Lil, you got to be quiet. We're recording. Okay. Got to mute the child.
We put her to bed an hour and 15 minutes ago.
Almost 2 hours ago, yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's still awake.
And the bird looks angry.
And the bird's going to scream. I got water on my paper. Oh,
she's giving that raptor eye through the cage. Oh, all right.
One claw.
A little behind the scenes of Tell Me Something Terrible there. Everybody start this guaranteed shit show?
Yep.
Great.
It's starting out strong already. Hi, I'm Tiffany.
Hi, I'm Scott. No?
Nope.
She's like, you haven't drank wine in a while. I don't know if I like you with wine.
No. And you're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible.
Yeah, you are. What?
You're silly. All right, this one's going to be a shorty since we rambled on way too long in the last one, and we just done a deep dive, so...
Yep, and I'll be on my best behavior. What? This is the first time in forever I genuinely don't know what the topic is about, so... Bean, don't attack the cat.
If you hear growling, it's the end of our dog's life because the cat just whooped her ass.
Or if you hear me screaming weenus across the room. Oh, here comes Big Black Cat to defend the white cat.
Yeah, Black Mama's coming to save his girlfriend.
Anywho, we enough cat fight dialogue.
Okay.
You ready to start this nonsense?
Yep.
This is, Friday episode 34.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
And no one dies.
Really?
Yep.
I don't trust you.
No one dies.
Okay.
I mean, they do die, but it's of old age. It's of old age.
I just hiccuped.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay.
If I have multiple hiccups, we're restarting this whole episode.
Oh, no. So today I'm going to tell you about this decade-long harassment of the sweet Midwest couple named Bill and Dorothy Wacker.
The Wackers?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yep.
No jokes will be made.
None.
I got to figure out if they're the good... They get harassed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Is it just solely because of their last name, or?
They don't know.
Okay.
Yep. So on January 16th, 1985, the house that the Wackers called home for nearly 48 years had been ransacked.
The home of whacking.
Yep. It had been ransacked for. I was trying to come up with like a whacked joke, but it just was sounding really horrible in my head, and then I said it, and it didn't sound any better.
So you brought it up now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So their house was ransacked for a third time.
Wait, what?
Ransacked.
I know. I got that.
For a third time.
Seems excessive.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe change your locks. Security. Giant dog. Doberman.
It was the 80s.
I don't care.
What are you going to do?
Dogs were around in the 80s.
That's true, but like security cameras
Buy a
and stuff
gun.
were not.
I don't know.
Just wait. So the previous two occasions had occurred the year before. This time, Bill was fed up and decided to call the sheriff of their tiny little town of Massillon, Ohio. So the pair couldn't figure out why they were being targeted. They were just like a normal, friendly, sort of run-of-the-mill Midwestern couple. Nothing was taken, and their home was just left in disarray. And then things escalated. 6 months went by with nothing, and then in July of 1985, a 20-something blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy just came up to the Wacker's home while Dorothy was alone, recovering from heart surgery, and asked to use her phone. He had car troubles a little ways up the road, just far enough that the road...
Pre-cell phone,
mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep, and it was far enough up the road that Dorothy actually couldn't see his car.
Allegedly.
Yes. So he
Don't trust him, Dorothy. You're not in Kansas anymore.
She trusted him.
Dang it, Dorothy.
Yeah, because she's a nice Midwestern lady, and because it was the 80s, so she just let this guy into her house to use the phone. Trying not to be nosy, Dorothy left the room to go into the kitchen. She heard the man say goodbye, hung up, and he shouted thanks, and she shouted back, and she assumed that he left. Until she woke up bound and gagged on the kitchen floor, after being bludgeoned on the head and along her jaw. So Dorothy managed to shimmy her way to an open window and call for her neighbors to help, and the police arrived, and then so did Bill.
And we're back after a small animal catastrophe. We're good.
There was no blood.
Nope.
So
just tiny paws. Look at that. Look at that cat. Anyway, sorry. We have a fat old cat, and she doesn't actually have paws. She has claws attached to the bottom of her feet, and that's it. Or her legs, not her feet. She doesn't have feet.
Just goes straight down to claws.
Yes, it's ankle claw.
Yep. So luckily,
tell me about Dorothy.
Yep,
who's
there were no
now
injuries.
Bound and gagged.
There were no injuries to Dorothy, but Bill noticed several of their possessions missing: an antique watch, a video camera, a radio scanner, and Bill's .22 caliber pistol.
Okay,
was missing
from this blonde-haired 20-something.
Yep. So along with a note scrolled on the wall, scribbled in crayon, it read, "Cheaper, but will do."
In crayon?
In crayon.
Was this guy 20-something or 12?
Allegedly 20-something.
Okay.
I mean, Dorothy was old. She could have got it wrong. So the police thought this cryptic message might mean that the stranger would try to pawn off the stolen goods. So they checked in with the local pawn shops and street vendors and found no leads. Dorothy did give a description and the police sketch was drawn up, but no one was ever found for the assault. And then 4 months later, the missing pistol was found on their front porch wrapped in a plastic bag.
Huh.
Yeah. And then over the following months...
Strange.
Yes. Over the following months, the other missing items were returned in the same fashion. All were checked for prints. None were found. They were all wiped clean.
So they slowly returned everything?
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Yes. And then the
Is this unsolved?
Yes.
Oh, fuck. God, I hate unsolved shit. That's like telling the front end of a joke and then just walking away and never telling me the punchline.
I'm really good at that.
Yeah.
Unsolved mysteries when I was growing up was like my jam. Like, I loved watching Unsolved Mysteries. Just reruns of it for hours.
It's like, never mind.
It's like what?
I was going to make a bad joke.
You?
Yes. An inappropriate joke. Even borderline to, I just don't want to put it out there.
Okay. You're going to keep that energy to yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll, as I punched the mic because I was petting my beard. It's completely normal around here.
So then the harassment escalated again. The Wackers would receive...
Sorry. Some people just...
Coming from someone whose last name was Tingley, I totally get it.
I understand why he went by Bill. Because Willy would have been a little rough.
Willy Wacker?
Willy Wacker would have been a little... Yeah. Then I'd be like, okay, I know why this guy's targeted. Yeah.
So the Wackers would receive phone calls during all hours of the day. Sometimes it would be threatening, like telling them that he was
They probably answered, the Wackers. And someone was like, seriously, you got to call them. Listen, they will answer, the Wackers. Sorry.
You're getting too far east, though. You're like into Boston category.
Where are these from?
Then.
Ohio?
Yeah.
Ohio's big.
Not that big.
It gets Appalachian.
Yeah, I guess, I suppose, on the edge
There's
of it.
a moth in here. Have you seen it? It's the size of a bird.
I think you're exaggerating.
A very small bird. keep reading your Wacker story.
So sometimes it would be threatening, telling them that he was going to hit them on the head or lay them out, etc. And other times it would just be heavy breathing.
He just walked up a flight of stairs. I get you. His phone was at the top of the stairs. Anyway, they didn't have cell phones then, so like his house phone would have been upstairs. He just came out of his mom's basement.
Did you catch that moth?
No.
Oh.
I did temporarily.
You let it go.
I'm about to beat it with a box of wheat thins.
There's a loud thump, guys. It's the death of a moth. So the Wackers tried changing the numbers several times to no avail. The calls just kept coming.
They're probably like, we'll change our number, but we'll leave it in the phone book in case someone has to get a hold of us.
Probably.
And then people just kept flipping over. Oh, look, the Wacker's number. Sorry.
That would totally be something people from like the Midwest would do in the 1980s.
Prank calls probably peaked in the 80s because there was no caller ID. Like
no star 69.
Yeah.
Like there was no way to figure out who anybody was.
You just, yeah.
So in the middle of the night, they would hear banging on the exterior of their house. When Bill would
Some may say whacking. Sorry.
When Bill would run out to see if he could catch anyone in the act, there was never any signs of someone. There was no noise, no footsteps, no running cars, nothing to be seen.
Come to find out, William was schizophrenic. He didn't even have a wife. Sorry.
No, she definitely existed. Okay. It was on Unsolved Mysteries.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you got all this from?
Yes.
Good.
And a couple other sources. Not just Unsolved.
The wacky story of Willy Wacker.
Oh, man. Even like a show, like, they fell short. Why couldn't they?
We're definitely titling this The Wackers. Okay.
So Bill decided to install a security light.
Should have installed bear traps.
Yeah, he
much more effective and probably still legal in the 80s.
I think you can still own them now. You just can't set them.
No, I don't know. We went to...
I've been to people's houses that have them hanging on the walls.
Yeah, but
I mean, granted, I grew up in the 90s, so...
Well, yeah, But I don't think you can purchase them anymore in any fashion.
Not even at auctions?
No. Oh. Goddamn moth.
So close.
Did it go on our berries?
No, it's over that way.
Okay. Read your story, lady.
So Bill decided to install a security light. That also did nothing to deter the harasser. Instead, the Wackers woke up to a sloppily written note that read, "Your lights," with a Z, "are a laugh." And more notes would show up on their porch, all in the same jagged, sloppy handwriting, all on torn scrap pieces of paper.
In crayon?
A lot of them looked like they were in crayon.
Yeah.
Because they would show like clips of them on Unsolved
So they're
Mystery.
just going to Denny's and asking for coloring stuff, and they're like...
You guys are a joke.
It's just the primary colors. That's all they get, a little 3-pack.
Yeah. So the Wackers handed over these notes as physical evidence to the police, and the police determined that the stalker would use his non-dominant hand to conceal his actual handwriting. Nothing ever came of this evidence either because they...
Can you imagine if he's like, no, that was my dominant hand. I just have terrible handwriting. Because people might think
he was educated in Ohio, so...
People may think I write with my non-dominant hand. Because it's such chicken scratch, or like
it's horrible. It's just a bunch of vertical lines.
Did you write that with your feet?
Yes.
Well, I do have very long toes. No, I did not.
Oh my God, that's what we got to try next.
What?
If you can write with your toes.
I'm diabetic. My feet cramp very easily.
That is
if I tried to hold a pencil, I would like be jumping around the room because my toes would curl funny, and I'd be like,
nope. And we'd have to chop one off, and it would just be
God.
horrible.
And then I'd be like Puff when he bleeded all over, bled all over, bleeded. I just said bleeded. Good gracious. It's past my bedtime.
How's that last literal
when he
3 drinks
bled
of
all
wine?
over our bathroom.
He did. It was like it was a pressure hose. It was
and now
intense.
we know if you're listening, either Puff.
Yes.
Because if you don't text us about this and that...
One said she has to catch up.
Wasn't that like the first time you ever met him?
They were over at our house? No, it wasn't the first. It was the first time they were at our house.
Yeah.
The first time we met them, it was after a Christmas party. And she's all like, "Do you want to come have an adventure?" And she has these big blue eyes, and she's so sweet. And I was like, "Okay, sure." And she's like, "Okay, find a sitter for Lily, and then we got to find a place to go." And then we drove them through the ghetto to Town Bar, got out, and she dropped the F-bomb and the C word. And I was like, I'm going to like her.
Yeah.
She's my friend.
We're friends. Yeah. Oh, and she can keep up with me in the alcohol department.
Yes, she can.
Yeah.
So nothing ever came of this evidence. They still couldn't find any prints on the notes. And in an interview with Unsolved Mysteries, Bill said, quote, "It seems to me that all this harassment is to try to get us to move. Why would we move? Why should we get forced out by a kook?" So if that gives you
what?
A kook. So if that gives you any kind of like idea of what kind of people Bill and Dorothy were, he used the word kook as like the worst word he could think of for this guy who's already assaulted his wife once.
I thought he made a racial slur.
No, I would not have just casually been like, ah.
Well, like quoting him maybe, but like I was like, say what?
I mean, it was the Midwest in the 80s.
I was chewing a wheat thin while you said that, so I just needed a quick repeat.
I would not have just been like so like nonchalant about a
willy-nilly racial slur.
So after 8 years of this harassment, on the night of October 27th, 1993, Dorothy, while outside, was assaulted a second time. Someone had managed to quietly sneak up behind her and bludgeon her on the head. So this time,
Dorothy needs to really think about her hearing. Mm-hmm. If she's been hitting that twice and never saw it coming,
yeah.
Dorothy, let's get you some hearing aids. Enough with the motion
How
lights.
many times have you scared the shit out of me? It was the 80s. They didn't even have motion lights. It was just a light.
I scare the shit out of everyone. Ask anyone I work with. I'm the quietest walker in the world.
Secretly a serial killer.
No, I'm
Guys, if I wind up dead, he did it.
Okay. I'm pushing 2 bills, and you're like a $120 ringing wet. I am the quietest walker in my house. There's you and like our 40-pound child, and I can sneak up on anyone, and you two sound like a fucking herd of cattle running through our house. Just, what's wrong? Nothing. I was just walking across the room. Are you sure?
Because you sound like you were stomping and mad.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you had clogs on, the wooden ones, not like
on our wooden floors.
Yeah. You're like, no, I'm barefoot. Okay, well, you sound like you're 300 pounds and you have stilettos on. So
secretly, there's a daemon that resides within me, and that's why I sound so heavy.
I should have been in Boy Scouts because I know how to walk so quiet, and I've heard that's one of the things they teach you.
Is it?
I don't know.
I've never been in Boy Scouts.
I walk quietly because I don't know. It's a thing I do. I sneak up on people. That's why I whistle. It's like cats wear bells. I whistle because I got sick of sneaking up on people. They're like, holy, where'd you come from? I'm like, over there? I don't know. Like where anybody comes from? Why do you? Anyway, that's just a thing I do to people. It's a youngest child thing, I think.
Is it because you didn't want your parents to know you were up to no good?
No, I just think,
yes, you lived in the basement. You had a door to sneak out of.
No, my truck was so loud I wasn't going anywhere. Anyway, no, I've always walked quiet, even since I was like a tiny kid. I just am a quiet walker.
Your whole family's quiet.
Yeah.
And then I come in there like a fucking wrecking ball.
You finish reading your story. You're like, this is a short one. Let's talk about how you walk for 10 minutes. I walk quiet, you walk loud. Enough. All right, that's the SparkNotes version.
So this time she was admitted to the hospital with concussion and skull lacerations.
Okay.
We had to lighten the mood before I dropped that one.
What did she get hit with? Did we know?
No.
Was it a flashlight?
I don't know. They didn't say anything about discernible.
That's a Jean Benet thing. No?
Oh, was it Burke? Gotta watch out for those 12-year-old boys.
All right.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly. So, I mean, he did it. Allegedly.
Did Dorothy eat pineapple? Sorry. And was it yogurt?
It was pineapple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had Anyway, I was about to go on another tangent.
And you're yelling at me.
Yep, focus here.
So at this point, the police were getting sus and questioned the Wackers on whether all of this could be an elaborate stunt of Bill's, and that he, yeah,
beautiful mind shit.
Yeah,
see?
no, they were two real people. They have video footage of them sitting next to each other. They're real humans married to one another. Mm-hmm. There's even death certificates.
Okay, Willy Wacker, keep going with your story.
And they assumed that he was the one that had assaulted his wife. They both denied that being a possibility, Bill saying that they had been together for 48 years. Why would he do such a thing to his wife?
I mean, he just pretty much said it in the first half of that sentence.
Yeah,
but
you've been married for 48 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I hit her with a candlestick, bro.
Yeah, try.
It's been 5 decades. What do you want from me?
Exactly. So finally, the family had enough. In November, the Wackers decided to stake out their own home. So Bill hid in a trailer parked in the drive, and their son-in-laws, there were 2, were positioned in a van at the neighbor's house across the street, and Dorothy and her daughter were inside. All communicated with these like giant-ass walkie-talkies because it was the 80s.
Yeah.
Yep. And then this was not the 80s. This was 8 years later. So this was 93? The mid-90s. Yeah. That's how long this has been going on.
They've been watching Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Oh my God, I almost said TMST.
That's us.
No, TMNT.
Yeah. We're close.
Close. So by 10...
You do a terrible turtle crime. There's no way there's a terrible turtle crime.
Oh, I'm going to find one.
Okay.
Next episode, guys. So by 10:30 p.m. after hours...
If it's about turtle poachers on a beach, I don't want to hear it. It's too sad.
How about alligators eating turtles? That's generally what happens.
Okay.
Or vultures and things. Anyway, by 10:30 that night, after hours of surveillance and nothing happening, the group decided they were going to call it a night. And that's when Dorothy and her daughter heard thumping on the porch. The others ran to the porch to see what had made the noise, and they found a rock with a note attached to it. In the same crappy handwriting and on a torn piece of paper, it read, "Get the message." And again, there was no one to be seen. So the stalker, harasser dude had found the only blind spot, like crept up along the house. It's
gotta be a neighbor then.
Yeah, that's what the police thought. Mm-hmm. That they crept along the house and managed to throw the rock and then creep along back before anybody had noticed them, with 3 different viewpoints. Uh-huh. So the Wackers' campaign of mental abuse and harassment aired on Unsolved Mysteries the following May in 1994, and although it generated more attention, the person harassing them for the last decade was never found. And although with the extensive knowledge of that the perpetrator had on the Wackers, the police assumed it was a neighbor or a family member, and there was no motive ever determined.
So it could have been one of the son-in-laws.
No, because they were off surveilling. So like they were going to call it a night, and then they heard clunking.
Yeah.
And then they already heard the clunking, and the other guys were
so he's
already
like the
staked
first
out.
one out of the trailer. He's like, yeah, let's go in.
They heard
and then
the
he
clunking.
chucked the rock.
He heard the clunking before they all ran up.
No. The rock was the clunking.
Yeah, how could he have thrown it if he was in the surveillance?
No, he got out of the trailer first, chucked the rock. It's like, oh, I heard clunking.
No, they all rushed to it because Dorothy and the daughter heard the clunking, and then all 3 other people came out to investigate.
You're out for a smoke break. Take a piss?
You just like to, because you thought Minnie did it, now you think you can, solve every crime.
You just said they either thought it was a neighbor or a family member.
It was probably a neighbor.
I'm just saying it's sus timing, right? When they were willing to call it a quits, all of a sudden a rock lands on the porch and nobody saw it.
Yeah, he lobbed it from across the street.
Yeah, I could hit our neighbor's porch from across the street.
You are a physical anomaly. I don't know what you want from me.
I don't know what that means, but I think anybody with decent aim could throw a rock. Even if it would have landed on their front yard, still they would have found it. Or hit the side of their house, they're going to hear the thunk.
Don't you think the other two people would have noticed you lobbing a rock from across the street?
No, I have a very quick release. I'm like Tom Brady over here. Zip. Were you going to make a sex joke?
Yes. And just that's what she said. I
mean, anyway. I was going to say, the release, I don't know if you can really pace. Anyway.
Yeah, 2 pump chumps, 1 minute man.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a compliment.
So anyway, after all of that,
let's keep going. This seems like
we're gonna make it real depressing.
No, more awkward silence while you just roll your whole head, not your eyes, your whole head.
Yep. Bill passed away a few years later, never knowing and it never stopping. In July of 1999, at age 79, and then Dorothy lived another 11 years without him when she passed away in July 2010 at age 83. And that's the end of a really sad story.
That's unsolved.
That's unsolved.
See how unsatisfying that is?
I suppose. My whole life is unsatisfying, so this is like the least of my problems.
Wow. Wow. This is therapy night, guys.
I'm just kidding. It's way better than it used to be.
We're just airing out some laundry. Just kidding. My problem with it's just, I would take the shittiest ending ever opposed to no ending at all. You know? No?
I suppose, but at least they lived like happily ever after in their
they
little
died.
house. Yeah, of old age.
That's true. But being harassed.
Yeah.
Eventually they probably just thought it was like almost like fun.
Yeah, I don't know.
Except for the whole bludgeon and bound.
Yeah, and like skull lacerations later on.
It's so weird though that they never took anything.
Yeah, the few things.
Or they took and they brought them back randomly.
Yeah, it was literally just to get off on like scaring them.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised they're the only people in like that area that.
Yeah, because police interviewed neighbors and they couldn't find anybody like experiencing anything or seeing
similar?
anything.
Yeah, because it feels like if they did it to them, they would have done it to other people.
Like a ransacker, like the Vidalia, not Vidalia. That's an onion.
It's a very sweet onion.
Oh, come on. The
V
original
for Vendetta?
No, he was the Golden State Killer before he was anything. He was the ransacker of a town I clearly can't remember in California.
The Reno Ransacker.
No, it starts with a V for sure.
The Valhalla Victors.
Sure, let's go with that one.
I've been watching a lot of Viking stuff.
I have the book.
A lot of Expedition Unknown. It's very Viking heavy.
I've read the Golden State Killer book, and I still can't tell you. It's right there.
Is it?
Ventriloquist? It's very close to Vidalia.
Scream it all you want. The Vallejo?
No.
Anyway, thanks for listening. If you made it this far, this one's been intentionally cruel and unusual thanks to Tiff.
Sorry.
You should be. No. But anyway, this was kind of a shorter one because we have gone long lately. This was terrible in regards of it's borderline prankster with a seasoning of assault. Get it?
Yep.
Assault seasoning. Assault. Mm-hmm. But the terrible part for me was that it's unsolved.
Yeah, and they died not knowing why or who or what. Yeah.
And then also, this is coming out Friday.
Yes.
Tomorrow night.
Yes.
Comments have closed on the wine glass giveaway thing. And we're going to do the drawing tomorrow night. We're going to record it, and then we'll post it tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So,
I wanted to do it today, except we had to mow the lawn because it's stopped raining for the first time in a week in the state of Michigan.
Hashtag homeowner problems. Mm-hmm. Hashtag
at least we're not in Detroit. Did you see all the flooding? Like, they've overpasses and shit.
Whatnot.
Ugh, it's so bad. So I'll complain about a soggy yard and know that there are people that are worse off. So.
Yeah.
All right.
You ready to wrap it up?
Yep.
Like a Christmas present? Wow, Christmas. What did I even say?
I don't know. I was going to make
a grimace present.
I was going to make a bad joke about wrapping it up like the handgun that they returned because it was in a plastic bag.
Okay, and on that note, we will see you guys Tuesday.
Not a comedian.
Neither of us are comedians, but we quote unquote have a comedy podcast. Look at us go.
It's a cute way
They'll let anyone do this. All right.
They will.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.
Oof, that was terrible.